button to say, oh my gosh, an error occurred. Let's see. I don't know why. Why? You are live. Hey, I believe we are live. It said an error occurred, but this is live, everybody.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our first community conversation of the month. Bienvenidos a todos. Thank you for being here today, and thank you so much for being part of our community, Flipgrid for All. My name is Fely García López, and I am one of the Educator Innovation leads at Team Flipgrid. And with me today is my dearest friend and mentor, the amazing and Kozma.
Hi, everybody. Fely, thank you. What a kind and generous offer. I wish I could just reach through the hug and say hello. Friends, hi and welcome. As Fely said, it's another community conversation. We are so excited tonight to welcome some incredible guests, and we're talking professional development and lifelong learning. So Fely, are you ready to welcome our first guest?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go, folks. The one and only Tisha Poncio.
I meant to have my Flipgrid, my Flipgrid live cowbell. I meant to pull that out. I have it, but I forgot to get it because I was gonna do an introduction for you guys.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, welcome. We're so excited. We know TCEA and IdeaCon is going on this week, and it's a week we might have been together in real life down in Texas, but we're so excited to welcome you to this conversation. And friends, we have another special guest coming live from Texas. You might know him as one half of the Co-Pilots for Life hashtag. It's Fely's husband, the one and only Omar López. Omar, there you are.
That was planned all along.
Oh my gosh. Welcome, Omar. How are you?
Thank you for everything.
Well, we're so excited. And we do have one more guest who is going to join us at some point in the broadcast. We said show up when you can. She's doing some other stuff, but we'll leave that for a big reveal. And Fely, you want to kick us off tonight?
Yes, of course. So I'm super excited about today's conversation because I know it is a topic that many of us will find very relevant, muy relevante a lo que estamos viviendo. Professional development and lifelong learning. So let's dive into our first question, which is already on the screen. I love this. When are you looking, you guys, when you guys are looking for professional development opportunities, what is the most important thing that you look for? And ladies first, my friend.
Yes, ladies.
Thank you. Well, I look for super engaging opportunities that I know will benefit my students and my teachers. So I'm the learner that doesn't want to waste my time. So I need it to be relevant, and I want people to tell me that up front. So I need it to be engaging. I want to have time to practice. I want to have time to learn things. So as a Google district, when we first became a Google district, that's what I looked for. I started finding people who were in that Google community and who would really help me and mentor me to be really great with those tools so that I could take them into the classroom and coach my teachers and also help the students.
I think you mentioned great points there. The relevance, that's the main thing. It's not about going to PD for a TEP certificate or just because I need hours as a teacher. To me, it's always, it's how am I going to be able to apply this? And how is it going to benefit the students? Because ultimately that's what we want. I want to learn something that I can apply and have my students, learn from it and grow academically or socially or emotionally, which is something that is very relevant right now. So it is relevance is the main thing, and being just able to apply it directly for my students. It's not just PD for PD.
Right.
That's what I think.
Omar, that makes me think of exactly like as we're introducing new tech to our students or challenging them to dig in to an academic or content area, when it's relevant and on topic or whatever that's matching the goal at hand, that transforms everything for our students in terms of ownership, engagement, motivation. And for myself, attending PD as a teacher. And then when I became a teacher on special assignment, I was coaching kindergarten through 8th grade teachers and experienced the same thing. Is how do I know this time that is valuable for teachers, that it's going to be something they can dig into, find immediate relevancy with, find a value add for their community, with respect to their time and effort and energy, right? But for me, that's what I look for. Is it going to be a value add for me? Is it something that I can use immediately and feel confident to use it immediately as well?
And I love the fact that TCA happens during this time, because it allows us to marinate those ideas, to take all the info in and get a plan of action for our students, right? Mainly for our students, but also for the teachers that we service, right? Because it's important for our students, but we're also serving teachers. So we also need to keep that, how important it is, right? Like you service your teachers and you service your students, and it's like, I always say 2 for the price of 1.
Dos por uno.
Dos por uno.
and you were saying about, the relevancy, and I think also it's finding a tool that we already have, right? So we leverage the technology that we have already. There's no need to look for something shiny and pretty, because sometimes those resources are not available. So when we focus on that PD, is it relevant, and can I apply it? And can I apply it because I have the tool available? I mean, there's tablets that, they're out there, they're pretty, but if I don't have them, why am I going to go to that PD? Like, it's bringing it back to the students and whatever is available already.
Well, and just to clarify, Tisha and Omar too, I know Fely and I know what you all do, but why don't you let those folks listening in, what is your role in education right now? Because that could also create some relevance as to why you feel very strongly about professional development and being a lifelong learner and modeling that not only for teachers and students.
So I'm a digital learning specialist in Texas. This is my 12th year. I was an educator, classroom teacher. In total, I've been in education for 21 years. So I was a classroom teacher of a lot of things: English and business computers and programming and yearbook and broadcasting. And the truth is, on that journey, I realized that if it's not relevant to the teacher, they're going to tune you out, just like the students are going to tune you out if you cannot validate the why behind that learning and behind that activity.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the classroom. This is my 17th year, is still in the classroom. I've taught ELA science, and for 2 years, I've done technology applications at the middle school level. So that's where I'm at. But for maybe about 5 years, though, I've also been a presenter in my district, sharing just best practices on what has worked for me and what I've learned at conferences, and I take it back and just kind of share and do some professional development as well. So although I'm not coaching, full time, we're still getting phone calls and text messages, and I'm happy because whatever I'm sharing, we know that teachers are applying it. So again, it comes back to the application.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Tisha, because it's when we're from the same school district, right? So most of these professional learning that Omar talks about, we were together teaching teachers. So and it's like you do it in the classroom. You get your lesson plan ready, you get your activities for your students, and you look for ways to engage your students, right? So they can learn the content. It is the same thing when we are designing all of these opportunities for our teachers, because you also write a lesson plan, right? Your PD has to be based on a plan, right? Based on what you learn, but you also look for ways to engage your teachers, because sometimes we as teachers are a little bit
we are worse
than the students. I know.
Not me.
No, you don't say.
So I gotta be a coach. I gotta be like, you really need to get my attention, because otherwise I'm gonna be like just like the students, I get distracted very easily. So that was always in my mind. Like when we were designing our PD for our teachers based on what we learned from the PD that we attended, like how am I gonna be able to engage my teachers? How am I gonna keep them engaged? Because it's not only about having them engaged, but keeping them engaged for the entire lesson, for the entire time that that you're going to have them.
Well, that leads perfectly into the next question, Fely.
Which is, again on the screen, how do you encourage your learning community to participate in ongoing professional development? So we know that we have to keep our audience engaged, right? We have to make them believe, right, in what we love and what we believe. So what do you all think?
Ladies first.
Well, thank you, Omar. I'm going to say what I always say, which is model, model, model. I encourage conversations and discussions really throughout the school day. I've created this learning lab at my school, which pre-COVID, the vision for that was completely different. And now, because we are face-to-face and we're all wearing masks, it's a little bit different. But I've invited these teachers to come to my classroom at any point in the day. They don't necessarily have to come for a lesson or an appointment. They can just come and sit on the couch. And if they happen to hear a conversation that I'm having with a student or a teacher, typically they get something out of that. So I think the key again is modeling that. And you guys know that I love learning. I feel like I'm sort of addicted to learning. I'm always learning. I'm always welcoming those learning experiences. But I think the other piece to that is you have to build conversations with your teachers and your students. You have to do that first so that those conversations can happen naturally and that trust is built, because the truth is, if they don't trust you, whether it's a teacher or a student, they're not going to hang on to that learning. They're not going to listen to you. So I think those two things really go hand in hand.
Oh my goodness. And that sets up what I was thinking, which I hadn't thought about before. But as you mentioned, is the conversation with the students, right? Who is our best marketing department for teachers? Our students. So I think about, okay, I'm going to share my successes with a certain app or a certain practice during POC, right? But when my students are talking, Miss, why don't we do what we do with Mr. López? Or why can't we do a video like we do over there? Or why can't we create a poster? They're the ones doing the marketing. So then they come and they ask Mr. López, what app are they talking about? Or what activity did you have them do? So when they do, the promotion for us, they're a marketing team. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Tisha, because when we have those conversations, then it speaks for itself. Like when we share our successes and when our students attest to what we're doing and how they're learning and how much fun they're having, while learning, then other teachers get interested in what we're doing.
I think that's right. I just want to hit on that again. Learning doesn't have to be serious. It needs to be fun, and it doesn't have to be like what we were used to when we were in school, right? I think that's an expectation that my teachers sometimes have. And so I try to just model those experiences. It doesn't have to look like you think it has always looked. I have recently got on Clubhouse, and I'll just tell you, the Clubhouse app is teaching me so many things beyond education. And I just think that we have to model that as leaders in our school, but really the goal is to model that for our students so that they can go out and be great leaders in the world.
One of the things that I always, when I was facilitating professional development, would say to my teachers is, think of this like living room PD. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to feel safe. I want you to know that every question is on the table. There is no question you should feel ashamed to ask. I didn't know how to use some of this tech when it was first put in my hands. We all start in the same place. This is a safe space for you to push all the buttons. I've been saying that for at least 6 years now. Push all the buttons and play to learn. And that took stress away from teachers. And when we think about like transferring that into our classrooms, teachers feeling safe to take risks, knowing it's okay to ask questions, trying new things, stepping outside their comfort zones, that has a direct correlation to the way our communities feel safe as risk takers, and our scholars feel safe too. So oh my God, I love all this. Fely.
And that's perfect. It's gonna flow perfectly to our next question, my friend. Thank you for saying that, because it's about those relationships, right? The relationships that we try to establish with our students, right? That's the same thing. And Trish, you mentioned it, like the same relationships that we need to establish with our teachers and the teachers, so that they feel comfortable going into our classroom and asking, Mr. López, what are you doing with these kids? No me dejan en paz. They're asking me about this. What are you doing? So to have that confianza to come to you, right? And ask you the questions. So from the viewpoint of a presenter or a participant, in your opinion, what makes professional development effective and engaging, my friends?
Is it still ladies first, Omar?
It's always going.
So I believe hands-on, relevant, real-world application. And I, as a presenter, I always tell you the why. I will always tell you why we're doing it. I will always tell you why we're using this specific tool or this choice board or whatever. I think the goal is really leading those students to the learning goals, like Ann was saying, you know, and Omar said, pick the tool that's right for the learning goal. Don't just pick the tool or whatever we're doing. Don't just pick it to check a box. That's not what it is. I know sit and get PD is sometimes super necessary, but in order to truly make a difference, I believe that teachers have to be able to experience what we're asking them to create for their students.
That is definitely right on target. Yeah, it's the hands-on. I think as a participant, like I want to get hands-on and really practice what I'm learning to see if I have questions, then, you know, I need to ask right there and then before I leave. Now, when I'm talking as a presenter, and I enjoy this, and I started presenting because of Fely, right? She brought me in and I'm like, okay. I was a nervous right there. Now, we try to be very dynamic in what we did. We brought in a lot of humor together. You know, she was always all over the place, jumping and cheering and all of that. And my style was a little bit more serious, more of a lecture type. But we always try to complement each other. You know, she's doing all the exciting part, and then I'm bringing in the why, like you mentioned, right? Why are we doing this? There's, you know, we're not doing it because it's pretty and glittery and there's like sparkles. That's not, yes, that helps, but there's got to be some foundation and underlying reason why we're teaching you or we're presenting on this certain tool or instructional practice. So I think that's why I love presenting right next to her, because I get nervous, but then she calms me down. She's like, even though I'm all like very hyper and I'm more calm, but on the inside, I'm like, but yeah, I think that's what made it perfect. So it's dynamic and just a little bit of everything, the why and then the excitement and the fun and games, like somebody mentioned a while ago here.
And there has to be a balance, right? So yes, there's you have to include the why and the lecturing and everything, but you also have to make it relevant and fun, right? Because you don't want to have, just like you don't want to have your students sitting down all just looking at you all the time. You don't want to have your teachers the same way. It's just plain boring. Like, and yes, you know the population of students that you're going to be servicing, right? So it's the same thing. You have to know the population of teachers that you're going to be servicing, and you have to analyze and you have to generate your ideas from there. You have to know your teachers so that your PD can be successful, and it goes hand in hand.
Yep.
See?
Yep. Absolutely.
And I love presenting with you too.
I'm trying to think back if I've ever had the privilege of seeing you two present together in real life. I don't know if I have, but that would be amazing, because I'm sure Fely and I present in a very, I already know this, in a very similar fashion, a lot of energy and probably a little like, oh my gosh, all the brain zings. Let's explore all the brain zings, right? And Omar, I sense you coming in with like, yes, and just kind of like grounding it in this like rich discussion. And Tisha, I know you bring not only so much skill and insight and knowledge and know-how, but big heart for empowering others too. So, God, I think we're going to need a part 2 to this conversation.
And I want to add something, Anne, something funny that happened yesterday. I'm always drinking water. But during one of my sessions yesterday, somebody asked me, "What are you drinking? You're very hyper." So like, it's always been water. But for us, like this energy, this love for teaching, right? That runs all over you, and it's an energy that goes. I don't know cómo lo explico. Like you can actually feel it outside of you, right? Because you love what you do and you love to help people and you just love it, right? And that was one of the conversations that I had with Omar about how difficult it has been for me to be sitting down in front of a computer. Like I have to be moving around and he's like, if I tie your hands, you're not gonna be able to say a word, mujer, because I'm always going like that. But it's my personality, right? So I think about people like you said, and like that's the way we are, and how being in front of a computer is challenging, right, for us. So I think I found the solution más o menos to this. It's a standing desk that I don't have to be sitting down. So he bought it for me.
She said she got it with rewards points for like rewards. But
well, he just found out that he bought it for me. But it's like it's when I'm like this, like super excited, like the presentations that we have for today for TCEA, the desk was up and I was jumping all over the place because that's what I do. But that's part of me, and that's part of the way I design my lessons, right? So all of this time, the time we're living in has made us think about so many things, right, that before I'm thinking that we took for granted.
And it's that enthusiasm, and we share it with the students, and we definitely share it with teachers. So if you're not excited about what you're teaching, and I'm sure Tisha, you can attest to this, if you're not excited about what you're sharing with your teachers, it's not going to work. And you mentioned it. You got to be excited. And there's a reason, because we wholeheartedly believe in what we do.
Thank you so much. So with that in mind, and thanking you again for everything and the amazing answers and all the info that you're sharing with us and for us, we're going to jump into question number 4 that it's already on the screen. Thank you for that, my friend. How do you put into practice what you learn in your own professional development to ensure ongoing growth as a lifelong learner? Y otra vez, señoritas primero.
So I'm going to share a story that I don't think I've ever shared before. And I share a lot. I love to talk. You guys know that. But I run a student technology leadership team. And I started that in 2017. They are an incredible group of students. And part of the coursework that I have for them is studying John Maxwell leadership curriculum for teens specifically. And they do a book study. And so I had a certified John Maxwell coach come in with them, and they were going to coach this group of students. And so I always say, as a leader, I never ask my students to do something that I'm not willing to also do myself. And so that's just a leadershipology that I have for myself. So when they were meeting, I would go with them to these meetings, and I would sit at the table with them, and I would take notes with them, and I would journal with them. And what happened is an incredible thing. Because I was willing to sit side by side with them, I applied and finished grad school in 2019. And I will tell you, grad school was not on my plan. But after sitting side by side with them and watching them learn and really take in what they were being taught, it really helped me grow. And so I think modeling side by side learning with students really one, inspires my teachers and my admin to do the same. And so I just continue to let those students fuel my passion.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. It's the students that drive the PD, at least for me, because, their needs change. So my professional development, whatever I select or whatever I'm looking for, is based on the needs of my students. What do I need to learn so I can meet their needs, right? So, but that's changing, because what I teach them first semester, then they already know that. So I need to get something else to teach them second semester, or my next group of kids for instance, they're all going to be all remote learners. And now they're all going to know everything about G Suite and all these apps. Now I got to step up my game because I'm no longer going to spend a week teaching Google Slides because they already know Google Slides. So I got to figure out how can I make this fun? How can I make animations, or how can we gamify these things? So as the needs of my students change, then that's how I need to know. I need to keep on growing so that way I can service them the way that I'm supposed to, or that's, that they do. I don't know, the way they need to. They deserve
I think you're right, Omar. I think you're right on that. I think that this entire year has taught us that we are going to have to dive deeper in that learning with our students and our teachers, especially as digital learning coaches and leaders on our campuses and district. We have to be able to take them to higher spaces and raise those expectations. And in order to do that, we have to do that for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Bonus round. I just wanted to ask this real quick. Fely doesn't even know I'm about to ask this. Okay, so we're coming close on time and we want to respect folks' time, but I'm curious, how have you used Flipgrid to support others in professional development? I don't know what word I was about to say. In professional development, or in any scenario where you're supporting folks in their ongoing PD or lifelong learning journey?
I love using Flipgrid, honestly, with students and teachers both, to reflect on the learning. So I think one of the great pieces is, once I've done a session with teachers, I love to send them a Flipgrid link. I want them to reflect on that. I was going to say that earlier, I think on question 1 or 2, it's really important not to just take in the learning, but also to be able to reflect on it. And I think if I can create that safe space on Flipgrid, I sometimes will do moderated grids. I've really liked that this year because I feel like people maybe aren't as excited to share every aspect of their struggle, whatever it may be, whether it's personal or professional. And so I love to give my teachers that opportunity because, like you said, Omar, they too are at different levels, right? And so I want them to have that safe space. I think Flipgrid does that really, really well. It's incredible. It's my favorite thing because they will tell me things, my teachers will, that they won't tell me in person, maybe. Same thing for students.
Yeah, I know we like you mentioned, reflection is huge, is very big for us. So that's very important for teachers, right, to reflect on what they're learning and be able to share their thoughts on what was difficult or what was easy, or just ideas. The way we've been doing it, and Fely does this a lot when we would train with our district or present with our district, it was more of, how are you going to use this tool? How can you help others? Now, when a teacher shares an idea, and we have 100 teachers in a grid, or I'm sorry, a group, in a group, it's embedded, right?
It's embedded.
It's part of it. So, yeah. Anyway, so when a teacher sees, there's a 3rd grade teacher across the district doing a similar activity to a concept that I'm teaching, hey, I'm going to try that. And we do that with students when they share their videos, and then we see similarities in future projects, and they're like, oh, okay, I see some of it, like he had a certain transition, now this other student has this transition. And the same thing with teachers when it comes to activities. So reflection and then just sharing ideas and then learning from each other, I think I've always said that we're each other's greatest resource. So yeah.
It's part of a collaboration, and it's creating, like, we will tell our teachers, we're going to do this, and at the end of our PD, we are going to have a library of ideas that you can always go back to and review and watch again and watch again and watch again, because you might be watching it and then you think one thing and then you watch it again and then you're like, oh, now I have a different idea. Yeah. I didn't think of that last time. And it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
Oh, I have one more. Sorry. I have one more idea. I'm going to lose it if I don't tell you. So for everybody that's watching, I also use the Shorts camera all the time. I know that I forget to say that, but I have used that the most in the last year because teachers will send me an email and maybe it's very specific to what they want to do. So I'll hop on a short and I will show them how to do that. I will talk them through it. I'll screen share whatever I need to do. And then I can just send them a very personalized link. So that is another one of my favorite all-time ways to use Flipgrid.
Fely, I wanted to ask if you have a favorite memory of how you've used Flipgrid with the teachers that you supported, or a PD experience. I'm curious.
The one that you talked about was the Telpas one.
Yes, because it was mainly, most of the time, since I was an ESL coach as well as technology integration coach, I was all about Telpas, right? And how our EL students, because most of 100% of my population were EL students, just like me. So I would tell my teachers, look, Flipgrid, Telpas, best friends, trust me, I'm going to show you why. You're going to be my EL students, okay? So I will walk them through the process, just like if they were my students. So I will have a TEKS, right, that I was going to be teaching for that day, and then I will show them exactly how to convert that TEKS into a Telpas question and show them how to incorporate Flipgrid into the equation. And we did that, and they practice a student, and then my teachers love the fact that they will always see the student perspective of Flipgrid, right? Because they want to see that. Which is another very important thing to take into consideration. Show it, teach it, but then they got to experience the student perspective as well, so that students, especially middle school, we are middle school teachers, so those middle school students, I love them, but they're like, what am I gonna do? What was I gonna say? Just like me, like, oh. So you gotta provide that for your students, right? So that was mainly the thing that I used with my teachers, and it was a constant PD with Telpas, right? With the way of teaching the content, with the language acquisition, with Flipgrid as our best friend. And I'm gonna say it. I have to say it. I know data is important, right? But we don't talk about running our lessons based on the test, but it's a reality that it's there. And my EL students were responsible here in Texas, and we're all from Texas, you know what I'm talking about. They were responsible for the STAR test, but they were also responsible for the Telpas test, right? So it was a lot of pressure and a lot of stress for my babies, for my students. So my main idea for my teachers is like, they're so stressed, and we are too. So we need to make it fun so that it stays here with them, because once you make it fun and you make it relevant, the learning will happen. Mm-hmm. So just like I will show my teachers what I will do with my students, it was like a copy paste, right, of my lesson that I had for my students in the classroom. So with that in mind, my friends, we want to show you our amazing Discovery Library, because it has amazing opportunities for us to talk about professional development. You want to take it away, my friend? You want me to?
Sure. Yeah, we can tag team on this too. Just to wrap up, this conversation could last forever, because I know we're all passionate about empowering our students and working with educators to empower our students. But as you think about your own journey as a lifelong learner, we wanted to take a moment and point out, inside of Discovery, not only are there so many incredible topics from fellow educators and featured partners, but you can go in and specifically search by audience. And within the audience, one of the filters is professional. And if you were to click on that, it will sort for you and find all kinds of incredible resources. I love to then filter down by clicking on engagement, and you see some examples, right? I mean, I'm just going to choose this one. It's one I put in there, my aha moment. What's a big takeaway? What's that learn something new moment? Did you have that from a staff meeting, a PD? Use it as an exit ticket. You could use it in your own classroom, but all of these are tagged as professional development topics. So definitely feel free to check out that within Discovery. If you're not familiar with it, we also have so many professional development topics here. Jester Renee and I curated an on-demand Flipgrid PD library. So if you're supporting teachers getting started, definitely check that out. But Fely, I know there's one more partner that I want to specifically call out. I love sharing their topic that is related to, let's see how quickly I can find it right here, made by dyslexia. Friends, think about what PD opportunities you have access to. To me, I was not trained how to spot, how to support dyslexic students, but our good friends at Made by Dyslexia are putting on a challenge for educators and students and teachers to learn about dyslexia, learn how to spot it, support it, and empower it. So you can go in and find training to help you learn on. Click there and you'll access their dyslexia challenge, but tons and tons and tons of learning and PD opportunities. I love pointing out Langston League. Erica Buddington has curated this entire pop culture PD resource. You could go in. She's utilizing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for pop culture moments and what we can learn from them. So friends, if you're curious about how to use these topics in Discovery, you can save it to a collection or choose to add it immediately if you want to use it as a group or a topic and just use it right away. So don't be afraid to explore Discovery for professional development resources. Fely, how do we want to wrap this up?
Thanking you, Tisha. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing all of your ideas and all the engagement and everything that you do, not only for your teachers, but for your students, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about our babies. It's all about our students. And thank you for being here.
Of course.
I'll cook dinner for you.
Yes.
It was
Awesome.
so great joining all of you. I love all of you. I just have to say that. Shout out to all the Texas educators that I see in the chat. I miss every single one of you. It has been a great discussion. And you're right, we could continue talking about this for another hour.
Let's revisit it another time. I'm going to say thank you as well, Tisha and Omar. I know we had another guest scheduled. I know where she is and what she's doing. We're just sending love out to her as well. And I'm going to ask her to be on another community conversation. So friends, thank you. Amazing conversation. Fely, you got the last word.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for the teachers that attended this session. We love you. We appreciate you. And we thank you for everything that you've done for your students and you continue doing for our students. Thank you so much. We love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Besos. Bye. Muchas gracias.